Hi all, I'm Azure, and welcome back to the Heart Headlines, our first episode in a very long time, and what an insane time it is. We finally have, after 4 years and 3 months, gotten our second Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, and my god, this game looks phenomenal. The graphics have been overhauled immensely, the combat looks so good, and some of the potential story implications that we have here are insane. And we got it at a Nintendo Direct of all places. Absolutely no idea how they managed to secure a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer here over the other companies or Jeff the Dorito Man Keighley, but the trailer is only a minute and 26 seconds long. They even say in the title of the videos that it is a teaser trailer, so that could potentially suggest we could be seeing one very soon. But even with it being so short, the trailer still has so many layers for us to talk about today. So let's just get started, shall we? As the trailer begins, we see a hooded person standing atop a skyscraper watching over the city of Quadratum, and as she speaks to us, let's talk about first what she says. She says, "The structure of this world is incredibly complex. At first, there were no manifestations of what we know as light and darkness, but our arrival here brought those concepts with us, the darkness given physical form only after we defined it." The entire quote here is in direct reference to what we learned in Union Cross. In Union Cross, we learned that before the Age of Fairy Tales and the Master of Masters time, darkness once had a will of its own and took the lives of many Keyblade wielders. It would later, however, become weaker and weaker before becoming a hive mind, the darkness we know today as the Heartless. However, despite this, 13 extremely strong darknesses were able to keep their sense of will. These are known as the Willful Darkness, or, alternatively in the community, the Primordial Darkness. It's learned that, in order to defeat these formless beings of darkness, they must be locked inside a physical form, and only upon the defeat of that physical form can the darkness truly be destroyed. The Master of Masters' plan was to lock the 7 strongest darknesses within the Foretellers, Lucio, and himself, with the Foretellers' darknesses being destroyed when they fell in the Keyblade War. 5 would be locked away inside the Union leaders as they were sent into the future via the lifeboats to be destroyed by future generations of Keyblade wielders, and the final darkness would be caged inside the crumbling Data Daybreak Town. We of course know this isn't how the plan would shape out, but that's a topic for another video. This concept applies here as our speaker tells us that the darkness as they knew it didn't exist, but they gave it a physical form due to their knowledge of the darkness. This is also a concept in Nomura's vision for Versus 13, something that Kingdom Hearts 4 seems to be taking a lot from, as in the early trailers for that game it would be stated that there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This gives us the basis for our enemies which, akin to what the Master told us about darkness in his time, is much more humanoid than normal. I also want to talk about who this speaker is, and by extension, who this black coat could be. There are 2 candidates for me, Skuld and Master Ava. Let's get the one I don't think it is out of the way first. I don't think it's Ava. We have no idea where Ava is at the minute. She's MIA, and not only that, but based on her actions in Union Cross, she seems very much against the Master's grand plans, doing multiple things like choosing a different person to get the book in order to try and change destiny, or also attacking Lucio after he revealed that he was the traitor. Many have pointed out the similarities between the person speaking here and Ava's voice actor.
この世界の構造はとても複雑で、私たちが定義する光と闇を具現化したものは存在しなかった。君は前に言ってたよね。どうしてユニオン同士は協力しないで競い合ってるんだって。
As well as the fact that she clasps her hands very similarly to how Ava does it in Union Cross and Keyback Cover. This is definitely compelling evidence to suggest that Ava could be the one here, as we know she didn't return with the other foretellers at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. This could mean that Ava already crossed over into Quadratum to join her master, but I want to talk about who I think it is, and that only leaves Skuld. Now, let's explain why. First we have to talk about Union Cross's ending. In the ending, the Union leaders escape to another world line via the lifeboats. We see each person arrive. Laurium in Dwarf Woodlands, Elrena in Enchanted Dominion, Ventus in the Keyblade Graveyard, Brain in Scala at Kylum. However, we don't know if he uses a lifeboat. His is a very curious case, which I will talk about in another video I have planned. And Ephemers stays in Daybreak Town to build Scala at Kylum. Skuld, on the other hand, we never see arrive. We don't know of her fate. That is until you read the Kingdom Hearts 3 secret reports. In the secret reports, we learn of someone only known as Subject X, a person who appeared in Gradient Garden with no memories to her person, with only the knowledge of 4 friends and a key, who's approximately 15 years old. She would be experimented upon by Ansem and later Xehanort, befriending the intruding Lee and Isa, before one day being taken from the prisons beneath the castle by a man with an eye patch, a man we know all too well. Yes, Zigbar, now Luciu, would take her to an unknown place, a place I feel is most certainly Quadratum. It would explain why she has never been seen or heard from in the Kingdom Hearts universe since her arrival and subsequent exit. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk visuals. This figure watches across the city, and if you notice to their left, we see what looks like Miyashita Park, which, if you remember, back in 2022 with the Dark Road finale artwork of young Xehanort, and what we now know is his Kingdom Hearts 4 attire, which we'll get to in a moment, we see these arches behind him, which we can now assume very clearly are the arches from Miyashita Park. It's also worth noting that the building she's sitting on seems to be the very same building the Master of Masters and Lucius stand upon at the end of the 2022 trailer, being the rooftop of the Shibuya Hakare building, which overlooks Miyashita Park. Next, we see the Neo Dark Side from the original trailer forming. This is most likely our full first look at the original scenes we saw in the 2022 trailer, fully realised in their final form. We get a pan around the dark side showing the damage that it's done to the surrounding buildings, including what looks like a massive ball of darkness, very akin to the same darkness we see above Destiny Islands and Daybreak Town as they fall to darkness, albeit on a much smaller scale. Next, we get some absolutely insane and awesome action shots as we see the Neo Darkseid attacking with our boy, our son, Sora, Keyblade chaining up using floating cars, much like he did in the reveal trailer to get up to the dark side. However, the dark side seems much more agile this time. As Sora slashes down at the dark side, it swats him away like a fly. As Sora is flying, you'll see smoke rising in the distance. This presumably means the dark side spawned in and went on a rampage before Sora got involved. I do also want to mention that you'll see these very odd shapes in the trailer behind the dark side. What are they? It's super hard to tell. Well, if we head over to the Square Enix press site and look at the assets, we have a perfect look at what these objects are. They look to me like airships of some kind, and this lines up with Versus 13 as we would also see very similar looking Magitech airships in Versus 13's trailers, and even of course in what it would become, Final Fantasy 15. Who controls these airships? Is it Yozora? The Master? Luxord? It's very unclear for now, but we definitely will get an answer to what organization these belong to. Another 2 interesting additions to Sora specifically here are his watch and an earpiece that he has. Let's talk about the watch first. This isn't technically something new, as in the May 2025 screenshots, we see that Sora has a watch here too, and if we go even further back to the 2022 reveal trailer, he doesn't have one at all. This means he gets this watch very early into the game, and I think it could possibly act as his new gummy phone or his new way for the player to access the menu. Second is the earpiece. I have no idea what this could be for, but with the previously mentioned airships, perhaps Sora has been recruited into this heartless hunting squad by Luxord in order to keep Quadratum safe. It does really remind me of the little earpieces that the player would be given in Missing Link. Perhaps it could be linked to that? Who knows? Next we see Sora crashing through a window with civilians all around him. We then cut to a shot of Strelitzia looking at someone in a black coat. This could be Lucia, it could be the Master, it could be Skuld or Ava. The shot is way too close up to tell. We then get some insane bombshells dropped on us in the form of new characters, but potentially returning ones. First is this smiley guy here. Now, I am very confident in saying that this is Sigurd. The reason for that is twofold. First, We know that Sigurd is the one who voiced the original Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal trailer, as well as picked up Brain at the end of Union Cross, leading into what would have been missing Link, so it's very clear to me he's in for a major role. The next reason is because of his design, his clothes. They're so based on his Scala ad Caelum uniform, down to the purple shoulder cape. I think he looks amazing, however I absolutely love his design. I think he looks amazing whoever this is, be it Sigurd or someone new entirely. I absolutely love his design. I think Sigurd will be one of the nicest guys in the game, or an absolute menace, which is exactly what Sora needs, with Xigbar slash Lucio running around too. Next is a potentially insane ball knowledge pool. We get this guy here with the black hair and black clothing. He also has a very distinct mask over his face, and there's only a single person in the entire series that this reminds me of, and that is Vali, one of Xehanort's upperclassmen from Dark Road. This man had only one single line of dialogue before dying in Dark Road, so if this is Valley, this is an insane conclusion and an insane addition. We do see that he has a Keyblade here that does look similar to his Dark Road Keyblade, however it isn't exactly the same, there are differences. There's no absolute smoking gun that this is Valley, as it would be odd for him to be here, as Quadratum is for those who break nature taboos, and we don't ever see him doing such in Dark Road, so it will be interesting to learn exactly why he's here. If this isn't Valley, who is it? Who's to say this isn't the true form of Yozora? Next one makes me so incredibly happy, as it confirms a theory we've all had since 2020, yes, since Remind, and that is the confirmation of Luxord returning in Kingdom Hearts 4, or rather his somebody returning. Yes, we all thought this was the case, ever since that final cutscene with Yozora in his car, the man telling him, "Impressive, is it not?" with the very similar hair, who never got a confirmed voice actor suspiciously. It was Luxord all along. He looks so old here. He looks fantastic. This means we're going to learn his true name, and in my research during this video, and also by using a random name generator using the letters in Luxord's name minus the X, I've come up with two possibilities. First is Loader. Recently, Nomura has been very into Norse naming conventions, especially with the cast of Dark Road, and it just so happens that Loader is a Norse god, a minor one, however still a god. He helped create the first humans along with Odin and Hunir. His task was animating the first humans. Alternatively, we have Ludor, which is Latin for to play, or, in some cases, more notably for Luxord, to gamble, which perfectly fits Luxord's character. He loves to gamble. Either way, I can't wait to see more of him. Will he recruit Sora? Will he be against him again? Will that wild card finally come into play? We'll just have to wait and see for more. Next, we get another hooded figure walking towards the camera very maliciously in this foresty area with a very peculiar detail, that being of black feathers falling down. In Missing Link, there was supposed to be a plot thread with people being controlled by black feathers, given out by two unknown characters who, through people looking at the data mine, found out are called Hugin and Munin. In Norse mythology, these are referred to as Odin's ravens, which of course, Odin is the name of Ericus and Xehanort's master in Dark Road. I've seen many people say that this could be Odin under the hood. However, I don't see that being the case. Odin was very old, and while he did possess the no name, it obviously got passed down to him at some point. I just don't see him having a role. However, I could be wrong, seeing as Valley is here too. My money is actually on this being Lucio here. The way his shoulders kind of slouch down is very reminiscent of Xigbar's posture in Kingdom Hearts 2. I do want to point out that the vibe of the environment is kind of different here compared to Quadratum. Could this be another look at Endor, like we got in the reveal trailer? Star Wars is most definitely going to be one of the worlds based off of that ATST foot we saw, so could this be our first look at Endor? Perhaps we'll have to wait and see. Next, We get a continuation of the last trailer with Donald and Goofy in the underworld. It's very clear that the person they want to see is Hades, with that very iconic blue wispy fire surrounding them. I'm unsure where this could take place in the game. This could be after Mickey's adventure in Scala ad Caelum. You could maybe learn of the fates of the upperclassmen and Xehanort's classmates, and tell Yen said that they found them in the underworld and were able to contact them there. Perhaps Donald and Goofy hear that and decide to go off on their own to find Hades and try and contact Sora. We'll have to find out. And finally, my favourite shot, with it coming full circle, we have a shot of Sora on the ground with a very familiar man behind him. Yes, just like the illustration showed us, for 4 years, young Xehanort, or I guess now just Xehanort, has come to the aid of Sora. A very interesting thing that people have mentioned ever since the first illustrations is that water has always been associated with darkness in the Kingdom Hearts series, be it with Riku being engulfed by it in Kingdom Hearts 3 and seeming to drown when swallowed by the Demon's Tower, or when Aqua sinks into the water of the Dark Margin becoming Anti-Aqua. It's always been associated with darkness, and what is Xehanort doing here with his umbrella? Shielding Sora from the rain. Shielding Sora from the darkness. There is another potential result of this image though, as it's easy to see that his umbrella's a little messed up, a little bent out of shape. It could be possible that in this moment, Xehanort defends Sora from an attack using his umbrella, when Sora turning round to see who it is. It's also worth pointing out the changes in his design. We can see that despite this clearly being the younger incarnation of Xehanort, it's not exactly young Xehanort as we know him. His hair is much shorter than before, and is more closer to the length of his hair that he had in Dark Road. With his outfit on the other hand, I think that the shirt he is wearing is the same shirt he wears during the flashbacks in Dream Drop Distance and at the beginning of Dark Road. And of course, he has to wear a black coat too. Either way, I can't wait to see more of these two, as this scene seems to come full circle with him telling Sora in a very similar looking street about how he is going to pay the ultimate price. And now, he is saving him. Another point to notice in this scene is that they're standing in front of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, which is in Shinjuku, which is a super interesting detail because it's believed that this is where Riku ends up, if we're going off his dream in the secret ending of Kingdom Hearts 3, of course. Super interesting detail. Perhaps we'll meet Riku faster than we expect. Next, we finally jump into our first look at gameplay, and boy do we have a lot to talk about here. First off, I just want to mention how insanely fun the combat looks. Osaka team have really come a long way since base Kingdom Hearts 3. The combat is so free flowing and fast now, it really resembles a modern version of Kingdom Hearts 2's combat. First, let's look at the immediately obvious thing. We have our first look at a build menu that was first teased in 2022. We have it here with this new Keyblade with two commands. We have Flowing Edge and Lava Slash. As Sora combos, we see the yellow bar depleting, meaning this is a resource to be managed. We then see a reaction command appear for Volcanon, before Lava Slash is changed into Igneous Impact, with some small yellow text saying New Build. So perhaps what this is something like, as you attack enemies in your normal combat mode, this bar builds up, and once it reaches the max, you can use your build meter. This opens up an entirely new combat suite for you, almost like a drive form in a way, and as you attack and use different combos, these new combo modifiers appear, like you saw with Lava Slash being changed to Igneous Impact. These attacks can be used to ramp up Sora's combos, as you see Sora using Igneous Impact, creating this lava rock. It changes back to Lava Slash before another reaction command that we don't get to see appears, and Sora slides up the rock, knocking the enemy into the air before his really awesome combo finisher where he slams down with a massive fiery explosion. We also see that the game now has enemy indicators here in red behind Sora. This is a very welcome change in my opinion, as a big problem with Kingdom Hearts 3, critical mode especially, is that many enemies will hit Sora from behind while he's guarding, because the mob fights are so large, and on Kingdom Hearts 3 critical mode, many mobs kill you in one hit in the early game, so having an indicator is good to give you that more faster and snappier reaction to get out of the way. Now, let's take a look at this Keyblade. As you can see, it's very fire and water themed, and what immediately comes to my mind with something like this is Elemental, whose main characters are fire and water themed, or, personally more likely, Moana, who travels the ocean and fights Te Fiti without her heart, in the form of Te Ka, a massive lava monster. I also want to point out the shapes around the hilt as well as the particle effects, as they really remind me of the traditional lei flower from Hawaiian culture. These shapes look very similar, don't you think? This Keyblade could also just be a Kingdom Hearts original Keyblade, as the two past number titles have always had an original Keyblade very early into the game to show off the mechanics. In Kingdom Hearts 2, you get Star Seeker for showing off Valor Form and Sora using two Keyblades. In Kingdom Hearts 3, you get Shooting Star to fill out as your third Keyblade for switching, as well as show off having a third Keyblade transformation. It's also worth noting here that the symbol for Keyblade switching is back in the game, meaning we will be able to equip multiple Keyblades again. The scrap and build mechanic seems to be an evolution of the situation command and form change system from Kingdom Hearts 3, as throughout this trailer we don't ever see a single situation command appear. As we move on to the next gameplay clip, we also get a look at Sora's build menu for the Kingdom Key, as we have moves called Chain Raid and Star Ring, followed by a reaction command called Heart Barrage. Sora then fires a spiral chain, presumably using Star Ring, as he hops onto it with full motion, and as he goes up the chain, it disappears, firing projectiles at the enemies. He then uses the Heart Barrage reaction command, swinging the Keyblade chain around and unleashing even more projectiles. We also see a second reaction command appear here, and while it's very hard to make out, I think it says something that's too garbled, followed by shift. I believe this could be reality, which means reality shift is the reaction command, which is surprising because reality shift is actually the mechanic that you use in Dream Drop Distance on the second screen to do things like using Mirage Split and Nightmare Clash in The World That Never Was, or to do the Wonder comic in Country of Musketeers. I do also want to point out a couple of small environmental additions that I noticed. The first is that if you'll notice, it's nighttime, which in the other gameplay clip, it was daytime, so perhaps there's some day and night cycle thing going on here. Another thing we have is that members of the public are actually on the sidelines videoing Sora having this fight, which is a very kind of fun touch as it makes you really feel like you are in the real world, as this would definitely happen. And finally, I also want to point out the 104 building. This of course is the very iconic building that Yuzora and Sora have their fight on. However, that's not why I want to point it out. Why I want to point it out is the little advertisement that's on it. It looks like an advertisement for a clothing brand. However, the style is very familiar to me, as it almost looks like the style of The World Ends With You. And even the colours, the purples, that is very reminiscent of the colour scheme of Neku, and if you remember in Dream Drop Distance, he did say he would see Sora again in Shibuya, so perhaps we could be seeing The World Ends With You, even though Nomura said that this is not Neku's Shibuya. In the next cut, we see Sora use another reaction command that we don't get to see the name of, as he fires light into the air towards what looks to me like a heart binder. It's in the perfect shape of a heart binder at least, which is what Sora uses in Kingdom Hearts 3 to use his links. He uses it here to call forth Keyblades from beyond the door. These are the Keyblades from the Keyblade graveyard that Sora uses alongside Starlight, as Ephemer helps him to defeat the Demon's Tide with the light of the past. It's really cool to see this idea come back here. Sora flies around on these Keyblades very akin to Vanitas, attacking the enemies before smashing into a ball of light. Perhaps this is going to be how we see summons in this game. It's going to be very interesting to see how they pull off summons in this game if this is the way they're going to do it. We then cut back to earlier on in the game as we see another scene in the attack against the Neo Dark Side. However, you'll notice that the command menu has turned from yellow to red here. Sora also doesn't have access to any of his build mechanics, as well as the build button on the bottom of the menu being grayed out with question marks. This means he likely hasn't had a chance to get this mechanic yet, which means this is probably in the very first few hours of this game. We see the dark side punch in towards Sora who's in a building, presumably the same one he gets smashed to early in the trailer, as it summons dark tendrils that attack Sora before he pulls off a regular air combo on it, which is worth noting that there's very little to no end combo lag here, which is a very good sign as it makes combat so much nicer and freer flowing like Kingdom Hearts 2, and was a very big complaint by a lot of people for Kingdom Hearts 3. I will also mention that in the Kingdom Hearts channel re-upload of this trailer we see Sora dodge roll, so it's nice to see that returning. We then see Sora guard against the dark side, however something interesting is that when the dark side connects with Sora, a barrier forms around him. This may be in reference to the feedback that in Kingdom Hearts 3, enemies could hit Sora out of his guard state, or just hit him from behind when he's guarding another attack, leading to very annoying deaths, so this could be a potentially really good solution to that. The camera then becomes cinematic as a wall falls, revealing two civilians. With the dark side punching in towards them, Sora runs towards them to defend them. The gameplay HUD stays up during this scene, so I assume while we never really see it, this here is where we're going to have a reaction command, as Sora runs in, blocking the attack from the dark side as the trailer cuts to the logo, with a reveal that the game will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 at launch, and also in the Kingdom Hearts channel re-upload of this trailer, it's revealed that it will be coming to every console simultaneously, so Square has really pulled through with their multi-platform strategy, not only with Final Fantasy VII Revelation, but with Kingdom Hearts 4 as well. But that wraps up this video analysis of the Kingdom Hearts 4 teaser trailer from June's Nintendo Direct. I hope that this is a sign that we will once again see Kingdom Hearts 4 shine brightly as the months go by leading towards the 25th anniversary. And now we best be looking towards the D23 Expo in August, as that's our next stop on the road to the 25th anniversary, where we may get a trailer. Let me know what you guys think. Anything I missed from the trailer that you spotted? Let me know in the comments down below. Goodbye for now, and may your heart be your guiding key.